Welcome, welcome. Each and every one of you. I feel like I should be saying welcome in various languages today. So, bienvenido, welcome. Uh, if you know another language, throw it out there. But to each and every one of you, welcome. You are here for our monthly Global Chamber Author Series. And this is where we come together to engage authors, aspiring authors, facilitate collaborations, discussions that would really just take anything around authorship to the next level. And this year actually has just been phenomenal. We've had speakers, panelists, we've had Angela Duns, we had Philip Auerbach the previous month talking about translation services from his business offerings, Auerbach International. And then today we're going to continue in the vein of how to make your book available in multiple languages. So yes, we have Trinidad and Tobago in the house. We have the UK in the house. We have North Carolina in the house. We have Arizona in the house, Puerto Rico in the house. We have many people represented here, and Utah. I see you, Terri. So we want to welcome you. I'm going to start just by sharing with you our slides from today that really introduces the program and who we are and what we do. So Global Chamber Author Series, we talk about tips and techniques, and our main purpose is to come and engage with authors. The Global Chamber Author Series, it's a vibrant community of writers worldwide, and you were able to see that we actually started the Globinar before it started because we are always ecstatic to see what's next and how we can apply it. So there'll be opportunities for questions, for comments, and we want you to engage. That's the whole purpose, because this is where we connect. We should share our diverse experiences. We inspire through books, workshops, collaborative projects, and leadership initiatives. And this program actually started well over 3 years ago by one of our guest speakers today, Gloria Peterson. She had a vision on how she can tap into the multiple members that are authors in the Global Chamber. And she was able to tap into and I can't think of the word. I'm thinking in two languages. That's hard sometimes, by the way. My mind is like, which language? She was able to tap into and to reveal well over 100 authors in Global Chamber. And that number has grown and continues to grow because of this series. So we thank her for having the vision and for Doug and Cesar seeing and supporting her through. And over a year ago, she says, Dana, she tapped me on the shoulder and said, I want to give you the baton for this. So we started that well over 3.5 years ago. This is a little bit about myself leading out the program now. I head up Global Chamber in Atlanta. I am a healthcare professional, nurse and researcher. I became a certified tea consultant, which was one of the books I published, award-winning best author. And my organization is a nonprofit Transformational Writers Academy. Our signature program is 90 Days to Manuscript Masterclass. But most importantly, I'm a connector. I love connecting people on purpose, with purpose. And so we continue in the spirit of excellence that Gloria started and beyond with inspiration. So Global Chamber, many of you who may be here at this moment may have heard of Global Chamber. You received an invitation from someone if you're not a member. So we just want to let you know that we are present. We are present globally, growing in 525 metros around the world. We're in 5 of the 7 continents, well over 195 countries, and we're the first and only Chamber of Commerce located in hundreds of metros. And when we say located, that means we have a foot there. We have people there, and we're focused on growing cross-border trade and investment in a collaborative way everywhere. We want to make doing business globally as easy as doing it across the street, because that's our goal and that's what we do well. And where are we located? I mean, outside of having a global footprint, we do have a headquarters, and it's in Arizona. It's housed at the Thunderbird School of Global Management. We have an incredible space there, and many of our meetups are in person, but we have a majority of them online, these Globinars, such as this one. So last year was well over 650 combination of meetups and Globinars. And this year we're moving to exceed that number so that you have greater access to resources, knowledge, and people. And as a result of not only being in the School of Thunderbird, we have collaborations with them. So wherever their presence is in the 30 locations around the globe, that extends our reach as well. So today, I'm ecstatic to be able to introduce to you our facilitator, Terri Morrison. And she is the author of multiple books, well over 11, I believe, at this time. And her book is a point of discussion today. And even our CEO, Doug Brunke, I'm going to have him have a comment before I get into the rest of this. He'll tell you how her book made a difference for his career while living overseas abroad. And then our guest speaker today, Gloria Peterson, as I mentioned, the founder of the Global Chamber Author Series. She's an author, speaker, trainer in professional presence, business, cultural etiquette, and corporate international protocol. If I had to just have one word to describe Gloria, having worked with her over the years, but also have her speak at my conference, it would be classy. That's who she is. So Doug, I'd like to invite you to come on to extend that welcome and share some comments as our leader from Global Chamber.
I'm happy to do that, Dana.
Thank you.
I was actually looking to see if I could get the book cover in my background, and I wasn't fast enough. Kiss, bow, and shake hands was instrumental because when it first came out, I was working at DuPont at Chestnut Run, there at the corner of 41 and what was that street that came across? I forget, but it was pretty close to where Joe Biden lives. And it's certainly close to the DuPont ecosystem. DuPont apparently was one of the first companies that Terri was working with. And so it was just very good timing that all of that was happening at a time that I was assigned my first international assignment just around that same time. And so I was looking for help, and there wasn't very much other help available. And so the book didn't just help me, but it helped countless other executives who were looking to navigate their own career and be successful internationally. And so I could go through dozens of different examples of pieces of information in the book that were very helpful for me. So bottom line is Terri has been a tremendous service for the international community. Loved the first edition, and I can't wait to get my hands on the second edition. Congratulations, Terri, on your success, and thank you for speaking today at Global Chamber.
Thank you,
Yes. We want to give you a round of applause, but guess what, guys? Those of you that are here at the author series today gets to see the unveiling of her book cover before it is published. So there's benefits. There's multiple benefits for being present. You get to see what's coming out. And we are a global organization, which means this book has benefits for us on a cross-cultural level. So for so many reasons. And I realized that the slides weren't showing as I was talking, so I'm just going to back up. And this is translating your book into other languages. And then I also mentioned Gloria. And so there's her beautiful picture. And this particular book was translated, as I mentioned, from English to Spanish. And I hand it over to you. Terri?
Oh, to me. Oh, I beg your pardon. I thought it was going to be Gloria. Thank you. Thank you, Doug. And Doug was very gracious with the re-release of this book to offer an endorsement for the interior of it. And we just got it, Doug. So I'm really excited. I will send you one. But yeah, they're not even shipping yet. But here's Doug on the top right. There he is of the book. And everybody is so thrilled with it already because what we did was, while the content is primarily the same in the book, except for the front matter and the back matter, we are offering 3 free online country profiles that are totally updated for anybody who buys the book. There's a secret word in the book that once you get it and you go to our website and you find out, oh, that's the word, then boom, you get Canada, Mexico, and Germany free. So thank you, Doug. He came through. I mean, it was really fast request because publishers don't give you any time for anything. But yeah, the process of foreign rights, Cesar and I were just talking a wee little bit. It's so convoluted depending upon your publisher, and I don't know how. I'm interested to hear about how Gloria handled hers, but you can't control it many times because, so here's Kiss Bower Shake Hands Asia in English, okay? Here it is in Russian. These do not look alike. And you can't tell what happens on the translation modules because I've received emails from people. Here's the one for Korean. No, sorry, this is Chinese this is the Chinese for this book. This is Sales and Marketing, Kiss Bower Shaking. This is the Chinese one for Sales and Marketing. I got emails from people saying, you know, I take exception to the thing you wrote in Chinese and in Japanese. And I asked them, okay, what specifically are you referring to? Could you tell me, you know, quote what it is? And they do, when they translate it into English, it's clear, I never wrote that. So the foreign rights that were given to an international publisher sometimes are given to a translation agency or an interpreter that decides, I think she really meant this, or I'd like to turn this around so that my country looks a certain way. And it's nebulous from my end. I can't see it. I don't know how to speak Korean or Japanese. And when you do end up, here's Korean for the big red book, the new book, even the cover can turn out to be kind of odd because I don't know if you can see this, but the woman in the photo here, right here, is a person in Korea who would be like can you see it? She's from the countryside, okay? She's not in a business attire. She's not a person that would dovetail with the content of this book. So I can't tell you why they picked it, but my friends in Korea and here in the US were like, why is she on the cover of your book? It's like, no idea. But that's the kind of issue that arises. And, you know, whether it's Estonian or Mandarin or whatever it may be, Spanish, you have a couple of options. And I don't know which way, Gloria, you went, but some people use a literary agent to negotiate those rights from the publisher. I never had a literary agent, so I always did my own contracts. And because I know it's really complicated, and I'm not going to all these international book fairs, which is what you would probably need to do to meet the international publishers or international writers conferences or, you know, other venues like the ABA. I don't have access to these publishers on a consistent basis to say, I would like to negotiate this in, you know, Polish or something. So I do understand contracts. I've done a ton of them, but I don't think that would be a venue that my expertise would say, oh, I know how to do this. I mean, you could learn anything online, but yeah, so I'm interested in other people's experiences.
Well, you know, the interesting, excuse me, real quick too, Terry, the interesting part about that is last month we had Philip Auerbach, and his company is Auerbach International, and specifically on translating, but taking in consideration nuances that are specific to the region, cultural awareness, and he's been doing this well over 35 years. And so this is really, you know, a good follow-up to that. So this, for those who are listening for the first time and that was not on last month, I would recommend you listen to last month Global Chamber Author Series, number 1. And 2, we have several. We even have another translator in is it Nigeria, I believe. That's a part of the Global Chamber in terms of services, and she offers more than 100 languages. Her name escapes me for the moment, but we have that because, as you said, people could take offense because the translation wasn't considered culturally. So we certainly want to be mindful of that so we get the best audience to receive what you're putting out there. Thank you for that, Terri.
I agree. You need an excellent translation firm, but there's something different about foreign rights. They don't just translate it, they sell it, they market it. And so they have to be a publishing house also that says, all right, now we're going to penetrate the Chinese market with this book. And so they have the initial stage is not just translation. It's also what's the history of your sales. So we understand the numbers, and that's going to be your negotiating point when you go into this venue to say, okay, Simon and Schuster or whomever it may be, I want your, if they're big enough, they have their own division sometimes because Simon and Schuster has them all over the world, but they don't actually many times do it themselves. They sell those rights. And then you get a percentage, which is all in your contract, the negotiation of the percentage. So yes, the translation is key, but the actual contract is to sell that book for you in all those wholesale markets, universities, and these are different kinds of sales now, and your audio book and your ebook, all of it. So it's kind of a multi-legged animal, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Well, your experience that you shared regarding the translation of the book into multi languages, you went through, did you say a publishing house that also took care of the sales component? Because you said something earlier and I missed the first word.
Yeah, well, every contract for a book has certain clauses, right? So one of your clauses is going to be about the worldwide rights. And that could be for everything from audio to foreign publication rights to video. Maybe they want to make a movie out of your book, or multiple venues that it may end up in. So you have to really understand what you're reading with a contract. And that's why a lot of people do use literary agents. A literary agent, if they're a real, you feel good with them, they have all this knowledge base and they take a good percentage of your revenue because they do know how to negotiate these things. But because I never started with a literary agent, I always just knew people in the industry after doing the first one. I kind of had to get savvy and talk with attorneys myself. And that's why I think that there's such a gap between publishers. For example, this is Simon and Schuster, okay, but it's a subsidiary called Adams Media. That's a smaller house under the aegis of Simon and Schuster. This is the American Bar Association. This is not a classic publishing house. These folks, their contract, I could show it to you. It's just so different because they're not used to selling 100,000 books. And the industry could support it if they priced them appropriately. But when I negotiated this book, they didn't even think about foreign rights. It's not even a clause. And I wasn't going to bring it up. It's like, okay, I'll just deal with that later. I wanted the electronic rights and I kept them. And why? Because this book is $69.95. Look how tiny it is. It's a wee little book. Yeah. And I said, that's a ridiculous price because this guy is $25 and it's 600 pages. But when you work with different industry segments, they're used to paying huge amounts for their books and they think that indicates value. So I am very glad that I kept my electronic rights and I can negotiate the foreign rights and also the audio rights. Because
like
if you want this, you can buy it on Amazon for $9.99 for the ebook. So that means, to me, you know, when you get used to negotiating these contracts and you understand the industry a little bit, there are these pitfalls and you want to head them off at the pass, right?
Absolutely. So you're certainly sharing quite a few insights with us from the foreign rights perspective. My familiarity in that area has been one country at a time, but it sounds like there's a collective where all those rights can be obtained at one time for multiple countries. But I want to kind of toss the ball back in your court as you lean in the direction of Gloria and her experience, because I know she's been looking forward to that exchange of you all having online today. And I want to put the ball right back in your court so you and her can facilitate that while we are in the listening.
Great. Gloria, how did you do your Spanish book?
I took the riskier route. And I'm learning so much from you, Terri. I'm glad that my first effort at another language was more in a workbook journal than it was in a copy that had a lot of content like yours do. My first 4 books do have a ton of content, and I would definitely follow your path for those. Terri, you're a traditional publisher, so I'm going to talk to those out there who have taken more the hybrid route. There's on demand, there's hybrid, and there's traditional. And the hybrid publisher that I hired, Michael, I know Michael's online here, but he's in London right along with you, Michael. And it's just somebody I found just doing some internet research and everything. And how mine came to be was accidental, to be quite honest. I believe in signs. I believe in moments. And I'm a personality type that will grab it if it feels right and run with it and see what happens. That's when I say I might be a little riskier. So here's my journey and my story. I wrote 4 books, professional development type books, heavy in content. I was marketing them to universities and educators because I wrote it with an educator type mindset. And then during COVID, I decided to switch gears and look at things differently. And I got caught up in this mindfulness movement, and I started investigating it as a different way of looking at my career, as well as my clients' careers and their career paths and what they want to do. And I decided, you know what? I think I did things backwards. And when I say backwards, I wrote books on skill sets, 4 books on skill sets, but I didn't do anything with the place the mind needs to be in order to make those skill sets work, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So during that time, I wrote my first book, and it was called Mindfulness and Health Watch. And it had to do with what I was experiencing at the time when I found out through a health watch that I had a minor stroke maybe 7-10 years ago, and a stroke scar in my brain that was causing me memory issues. And I thought, what? I had no idea, absolutely no idea. So I took some of my life experiences and started investigating them more and going deeper, and found out that a lot of the things in Mindfulness and Health Watch, which has components of intention, affirmations, gratitude, visualization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Michael, who's online with us, wrote a section in this book on wisdom, which surprised me, Michael, because you're so young. And I think wisdom is supposed to be somebody older. But then Michael said, well, I had my viewpoint. And I thought, okay, I can go with that. And found out that I had been doing these skill sets without even knowing I was doing it, just by default, if you will. So I was at the Transitional Writers Conference in Puerto Rico as a speaker for Dana. Proud to be one. It was the most amazing experience I've ever had. She is amazing. I mean, she dots every I and crosses every T that you don't even know are there, even the ones behind the background. But she's an amazing organizer, and it was a great experience. The reception was at book. Here, you're welcome. The reception was at Bookmark. And in a few seconds, if you don't mind, I'd like Cesar to talk about Bookmark, because that's his bookstore in Puerto Rico. And at that reception, I talked to Juan. And I said, and I was in the process of writing the next edition, but I don't want to be a journal writer for the rest of my life. So when I wrote this one, I decided, no, I'm going to put a whole bunch of months in here so people can take it to 2024, they can take it to 2026, et cetera, et cetera. And when Juan took me back to the shelf in his bookstore, and this is getting to where I chose Spanish, I didn't see very much. He had a shelf, and I saw on one spine it said gratitude. And then I pulled the book out, and I thought, what's all text? It's like philosophical. And I probably said that word wrong, but anyway, you know what I mean. And I thought, well, wait a minute. So I gave Juan a copy of the first book. I'm looking at my book. Where'd I put it? Oh, right here. And I said, I'm right now working on the next book, which will encompass more months. And it's this one, and it'll come out in another month. It'd be my next one. And he said, well, if you do one in Spanish, I'll carry it. So I contacted my publisher, my hybrid publisher in London. I said, can we do a Spanish version? And Terri, I probably skipped some major steps here, maybe legal steps. I don't know. Maybe I really took a risk. I'm not sure. Follow Terry's path, not necessarily mine, but use mine as an inspiration, if you will. And I said, okay. So I contacted him. He says, well, I've got a network of translationalists. Again, I'm having a hard time with words this morning. I apologize. And he says, let me see what I can do. And he did find somebody. Okay. And so we did have it put in Spanish. Now, here's the thing. And for you hybrid publishers, we have to be very, very careful because we're running with something here that we don't have a lot of data and a lot of background on. So please listen to Terri. And you might have to listen to this 2 or 3 times to get all her nuggets of wisdom and her experiences there, because she works with traditional publishers. My dream is to one day be with a traditional publisher, but until I can get that momentum and get there, I'm going to be in the hybrid category. So put it that way. But what I want to, when you are a hybrid publisher, you'll work with a house called like Ingram. Let's see, it's called
Spark Ingrams.
Ingram Sparks Ingram.
Yeah,
Sparks.
Ingram Sparks. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I had a book signing coming up at Barnes and Noble, and I was so proud of that because I worked so hard to get a book signed, but I finally got one. And when I went to them, they were able to order the English version to put on their bookshelf from Ingram Sparks, because that's where the retailers buy their books. I don't know, Terri, in your world, but in the hybrid world, that's how it works. And the Spanish edition was denied. And I had no idea that I had that book on the market for a year and it had been denied in stores. I don't even know if Bookmark was even able to order it. Maybe through Amazon they could, but through Ingram Sparks, maybe not, I'm not sure. And when I contacted them, they had a problem with the content. And I said, well, what's the problem with the content? And they said, well, we just found it, quote, suspicious, unquote. And I said, it's an exact replica of the English version. There's nothing different, nothing snuck in there anywhere. So they agreed to reevaluate it, and they had somebody of the Spanish language review it. I don't think they did that before. And they found out that, yes, indeed, it was a 100% total translation from the first book. And then they approved it and released it. So that was a stumbling block for me because I had no idea that that was a checkbox that I had not checked. But Bookmark, when they said, if you do one in Spanish, I'll carry it. And if you don't mind, Cesar, could you come on? And you were so wonderful and helped me get that book into that store and maybe share some of the experience the store had with this particular edition.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Gloria. Thank you. It's just your story is wonderful. So Juan is someone who went to elementary school with me. And so we've been connected ever since. But he hosted us. When I said us, it's Dana's group, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And then we had the chance to went back with you when you were there, and he was very, very helpful with you. And I'm putting here in the chat a link on LinkedIn with me and a picture of Gloria's book out of Bookmark. And so this is I think, Gloria, just to add a little bit, when you did the translation, I think it helped a little bit with some ideas, and I have someone else looking at it. So I think that's a really good point, that even though when you hire someone to do the work, just have a couple of people to do the proofreading, and especially when it's a language like Spanish that's very broad. And Terri and I were talking about that. So I had the honor to be part of that, and I got a special copy from Gloria. and so that's been really great. I'm gonna just show here my screen just for a second, just for all of you to see me with the
Oh, let me
bookmark.
get a picture. Let me get a
Yeah,
picture of that.
sure. So and they opened, that's the new store. They opened that new store. It's a very upscale area, and it's very nice. And they have a coffee and sandwiches and all that. So next time you come back, Gloria, you definitely need to go to that one. Same with you, David.
Thank you. Thank you. Definitely. I got it.
So thanks, Gloria, and happy to help and promote. I think you've been connected to a couple of members in Mexico as well to explore opportunities there. So we continue helping as much as we can.
Yes. One thing I want to interject too, because this is a good moment to do that. This is really all the makings of the connections we have in Global Chamber. Cesar has been a part of our Transformation Writers Conference from the first time we were in Puerto Rico, supporting us because we were Global Chamber members, supporting us because he wants to make sure that he provide other opportunities to network, supporting local business where he lives. So it was such a win-win. And that opened up the avenues because of his relationship with his childhood friend who owns multiple bookmarks in Puerto Rico. But when Gloria got her book, and I'm not sure if you remember him saying this, Gloria, when he agreed to house your book in his bookstore, they also get your book in the Walmart in Puerto Rico as well. So your reach is larger than you can even imagine.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, they're
So
actually their main business is they're book distributors. They just saw an opportunity when Borders closed their doors here, and they've been growing their store, but they're distributors with Walmart and Walgreens. Yeah.
So add that to your repertoire of where your books are found in Walmart, Walgreens in Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
May I
thank
just
you.
interject here another venue that you can check on whether or not libraries have your book. You can go to an organization called worldcat.org, world and CAT, like catalog, all one word, .org. And then you might have to make a little account. It's free, it's no problem. But then you just type in the title of your book and it'll start telling you what libraries have it on the shelves. So you might be surprised, but it could be in, the Harvard bookstore or your local, library, or your local libraries, community libraries, special libraries, legal libraries, government libraries. Check. And one of the reasons I'm wondering if they negated the option initially to put your book on the shelves, Gloria, you always got the ISBN numbers for all of the iterations, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Oh yeah.
I don't get it either. I think that's just appalling, and it's too bad but good for you because you were tenacious and you went after it, and then they concurred that was correct and stocked your book. So smart cookie.
Yeah. And I just want to add here, especially after listening to you, Terri, with all your wisdom, those of us in the hybrid publishing arena, because we hope to one day get the attention of the traditional publisher. That's always our dream and our hope. And I hope to do that one day. But in the meantime, it's important to me just to get my work out there. And I consider it legacy. And Dana knows I love that word. I love the word legacy because I think when you publish your works, you've created a legacy because when you're not here anymore, you still live on. That's what a legacy is. Absolutely. And so for those of you listening to this, whether you're here today or you're going to listen to a recording that YouTube or Global Chamber carries on their YouTube channel, so I'm promoting that right now, Doug. Be very, very careful here. I tend to be spontaneous, and this spontaneity for me worked, but that doesn't mean they all do. There are checks and balances here that you have to be very, very careful of. So, definitely listen to Terri. I got lucky because this was a journal. It's more of a workbook. I took less risk. But if it had been a book similar to my first 4 or any of them that Terri has published, the risk would have been higher. and I would have had to engage all the legal authorities or resources out there in order to get that book. And you're right, a friend of mine wrote a book on procrastination, okay?
Mhm.
And her name was Rita Emmett. When Rita wrote a book on procrastination in English, she got the attention of someone in France who wanted to put it in French, and it just boomeranged from there because she had a traditional publisher. But what she didn't count on, and which you shared, Terri, is they totally changed her covers. And they even changed the title. And she was shocked because she had no say in the fact that they changed the cover and they changed the title to their way of thinking. So that is something to be very, very mindful of when you're going into the different languages. Spanish, I selected that one. Again, I was inspired by Juan. I was inspired by Cesar. I was inspired by Bookmark. That was just my inspiration. And I felt like I'm supposed to do this because I'm inspired here. And I'm so grateful I did. But moving forward, any of my other works, I'm going to be more careful and dot more I's and cross more T's like you do, Terri. So back to you.
No, I love that you take a risk. I love risk. I mean, being an entrepreneur for 30 years, of course, you walk on a razor's edge quite a few times. And that's kind of exciting. It's not, if you don't fit the corporate environment and aren't as good perhaps with authority, that would be me, then you need to just burn to do this. And fortunately, I felt like, the first step is good research. That's always the way it works for me, is you have to be able to interact with people, interview people, coordinate the effort to distill their interviews down to in the essence of what they need, and then you send it back, and then you do all these iterations, and then you end up with 500-600 pages, and then the publisher tells you you have to cut it by 200. So there's all these processes, but the whole concept is, if you believe in it and you are absolutely, I have no uncertainty in this because it's important, then what's a little risk? It's just what's meant to be. So I like that you like signs. I like when a window opens for me. That's great. Sometimes I have to knock it open, because I will tell you, this ABA book, it's the only book that took me probably 3 iterations, if not 4, proposals to go into them, because they kept on knocking it down. Their book board, it's a very unusual environment. They were all volunteers. So they change yearly, or at the most every 3 years, except for a core group that's the editorial folks. So it's a totally different venue, but the lawyers were asking me to do it. And now my goal, as you have done, is to have it translated into multiple languages as well. One of the things you've done, which I think is incredible, is the workbook concept, because I've never done a workbook. And McGraw-Hill asked me to do one for the sales and marketing book years ago. And I was really busy at the time, this guy. And I didn't do it because I thought, well, the book's out. I have another proposal, and I might just skitter around. But when your book goes into not just a bookstore, but into a university or a corporate environment, they want sustainable, things that they can take away as well. And a workbook is brilliant. And you can do it with AI now to make it virtually a little avatar doing things and so forth. But that would be something that I'd like to explore in the future, figuring out how to strategically do something in a workbook fashion, maybe in multiple languages, maybe to start with, pick Spanish just for fun, and and then kick it off with you guys in Puerto Rico, porque me amo a Puerto Rico.
Excelente.
Más bonito, eh? So.
Yeah, I would like to even applaud Gloria and her courage and tenacity. I think that's the word we ascribed to her in Puerto Rico, tenacity. And And sometimes when you don't know, but you have a desire to move forward, I think fate and favor is on your side. Plus, the sheer determination. I want to speak to one thing too, Terri, about your book. I think it was the one that was translated into Korean with the little child on the front from a country picture that for a book that is geared towards business, international business leaders. So do they not consult with you prior to saying we're going to go forward with this? Do they
Not
not say,
one
hey,
bit.
what do you think of
Not one bit. They don't ask you. And you know what's interesting is when you have a traditional publisher. So I've had McGraw-Hill, Macmillan, Simon and Schuster, Adams Media, Prentice Hall. I don't know. And they may say, okay, well, we're going to start working on the cover, on the jacket. And then they'll send it to you if they're nice. Because with me, I said, you have to send it to me because there are colors that are inappropriate. It won't
Absolutely.
sell with this, it won't sell with that. And then they send you some goofy thing that has like two hands shaking or something, because shake hands, or somebody kissing
Yes.
somebody or something. And I'm like,
Oh my word.
no. This is not a cartoon. We're not doing that. And you have to stick up for your, predicated on the logic of selling. So, but you get very minimal, you can say, I need approval, but they don't really have to give it to you. However, with the law book, they sent me some really bizarre covers. And I said, I am telling you right now, that is not going to fly. May I talk with the designer? Because they always have now a graphic designer. And they said, no, but you can send us an email of what you want to say. So I did. And she came up with this really cool, sort of high-tech bottom with all these networks going around. And it literally won a graphics prize with a
Oh
book.
my word.
So,
Well,
yeah.
that brings up another point, but I want to give people an opportunity to ask questions as well, because I know we have people that are here certainly interested in the engaging part a little bit further. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, or place the question in the chat, and we would like to engage on that level. And Michael Quigley, your name has come up multiple times for many reasons. So I'm going to ask you to raise a question or make a comment about your experiences being a published author and a coach and really working with mindset and serving from a space of love.
Okay. Firstly, this is amazing. It's so lovely to just sit and listen to how freely you're sharing and how authentic you are. It's just brilliant. It's really, really good for me and inspires me because I've started writing my third book. And for the first time, I'm considering like documenting it a bit and sharing the journey. Usually it's just like, bang, there it is, you know. But I've realized being part of this community, people like to know the process. They like to know all behind it. And for me, it's very inspiring because I speak Spanish and I want to speak multiple languages and I've worked published in multiple languages. But for me, so for example, something you've definitely affirmed is pragmatics. It's one thing to get a book translated into a different language, but you need to understand the culture, that even if your words are translated verbatim, it's not necessarily going to land, or it is going to land. So my teacher's been teaching me about pragmatics. I'll give you an example. In Spanish, there are two forms of to be, right? Temporary and permanent, and a star. In English, there's just one. So that has massive connotations for things like Gloria's work on mindfulness, and I hadn't got a clue. So it makes me realize how ignorant I am. So if I was to publish in a different language, I think trust is so important. To have somebody, that's got your back, fights your corner, believes in your message. Because otherwise, like you say, these people just do it in the way that suits them best. So it's really helpful for me to learn from you guys, because I'm not quite, publishing in another language yet, but it's not far off. And so thank you. I'm learning a lot from. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments there. And it really kind of, brings to light what we do is we show up with authenticity. Part of the mission for Global Chamber as well, that we're transparent about processes and why we're doing and how we can connect. And so this is how I'm going to share what you just spoke on, Michael. Give me just a second. So I just had my book signing this past Sunday, and as a writer's coach, we coach people through their journey, starting from mindset and, to the end where they become authorpreneurs, not just authors, but that's another story. So this book actually walks through the process of writing, from the mindset piece, the business book plan, exactly what you were talking about. And if someone were to say, of all the books that you've written or collaborated on, which one are you the most proud of? And someone would say, oh, the next one, the one that I'm going to write. But for me, I would say this one because it empowers authors, repeat authors, even inspiring authors to, with prompts, journaling, messaging, to move you forward. And it's outlined. So when you're done, after you journal in each section and you follow it, you already have your manuscript right here. So being transparent is who we are and what we do. And I wanted to just kind of redirect that back to Gloria. And a final comment too from Terri. What did you have to do to work? You're writing on mindset. You were inspired to move this into another language. What did you have to do, Gloria, to work on your mindset to get this beautiful published work out?
This might sound strange, but if I understand you correctly, and you're asking the inspiration to write the mindfulness book as opposed to
Yes.
all the business etiquette protocol type books I've written in the past.
Yes, and what challenges did you have in your mindset?
I'm not sure how to answer that. What challenge I had.
What
I don't think
challenges you had to overcome? Sorry.
I just had to overcome my own blocks, my
Mhm.
own reason for not moving forward, and get through those. And I had to, let me put it this way. I had to go through a process where I justified in my mind, I need to do this. And this is the right thing to do. And this is my calling, and you have all kinds of blocks come in, and they'll tell you, and with all due respect to your friends, I'm going to be very careful with this, and family. Sometimes they don't see you for who you really are and who you are trying to be. They just don't. My family, definitely an example. So you have to really take it in stride, whatever they have to say that doesn't support your journey, your vision, and go deep within yourself and say, okay, is this the right journey, the right calling for me? Is this who God made me to be? And if this is who God made
Yes.
me to be, I'm moving forward no matter what they say. They just don't get me. So I had to take that stand and understand and accept the fact they don't get me. And that's okay. My siblings don't get me. My kids don't get me. But people like Dana, people in my business world, that's why I love the Global Chamber so much, because that audience, that membership, they inspired me to start this author community because I felt like they get me.
We get you. You found your tribe in Global Chamber,
Yeah.
and then you found it drilled down in the authors and that you created, by the way. You created your tribe. Let me just let you know. So sometimes when you don't find that what you're seeking from family, as Gloria is saying, in order for her to move through on the mindset space, she had to say, I'm going to go deep within and I'm going to embrace those who embrace me, support those who support me, and go forward. And Gloria, likewise, you inspire us the same way. It's a yin and a yang. It's good to see you, Demetrius. And so the final question is for you, Terri, is what are some of the obstacles that you had to overcome from a space of mindfulness, in particular, since you are the cultural guru, mindful of considerations when doing business internationally, and your book was transferred in multiple languages and they didn't always get it clearly. What are some things that you wrestle with and had to overcome from a space of mindfulness with those challenges?
Well, Gloria, there are a lot of naysayers out there. When I was working at Booz Allen and Hamilton back in the day, I started everything with the digital product before there were books. And the first two clients, like Doug said, one was DuPont, one was AT&T for that. But I literally, one of my best friends looked at me and said, "You are going to quit Booz Allen? Are you insane? You know, people kill to get in there." And I thought, you know, I'm burning to do this. So that's, you just have to disregard the static, because there will always be static on a line. And you just have to put the blinders on and know that you are right. You're supposed to be able to, you know, concentrate all of your efforts for a certain amount of time. I mean, economically, we all have to make a living. So I gave myself 6 months. I said, if I can get 2 clients in 6 months, and I got them in 5, I thought, then I'm okay. Because, you know, you have to pay people, you have to do things, you have to do your mortgage. And at the time I had a little teeny kids. So you sort of be businesslike about it, but underneath, it's really a creative issue. And there are only certain people who will understand creative people. And that means that you're going to have to, like I say, take everything that people say with a grain of salt, because they're comfortable in big corporations. They love having stock options given to them. And I did all that. And I thought, yeah, that's nice for you. I don't care. I did not care about working 20 years in an entity that would make me wealthy, but, you know,
they're not satisfying.
Like a husk. So you really have to follow, with a lot of logic and financial planning, the best thing you could possibly do for the greater good. I mean, that's the other thing. All of us here are doing things to help others.
Yes.
We're not sitting here doing our autobiographies or some sort of vanity press thing. That's not what we do. We do for others, and it comes back. And you never know where it's going to end up. When I wrote the first book, I had no idea. I knew that it would work for business travelers. That was it. So thank you, Gloria, for affirming that this is a valid path. And Michael, because you're, you know, very inspiring, because you have that global viewpoint and you're able to insert not just logic, but sensitivity, and you understand the linguistic aspects. And that's key, because we all want to be seen, and we all want somebody to give us some reinforcement, because, you know, everybody is vulnerable, as Brene Brown says, and that's when you need courage to be able to step up.
Absolutely.
If I can add, I just want to add this one point, because you inspired this thought, Terri, that I think we all have experiences and challenges for a reason. And I think the step that a lot of people miss is based on those experiences, education, challenges, etc. Are you really taking the time to self-reflect on what it all means? And if it has a different direction for you, in some cases it won't. In other cases, you go, wait a minute, like Terri just said, I don't feel like I need to be there anymore. I need to be someplace else. And if that's the message that your internal self has given you, you really need to investigate it and check it out. Because you do it for you. You don't do it for anyone. And then you do it for you first, because you want you to benefit other people. And the best way you can benefit them is through sharing your experiences and your journey and inspiring them the same way. So that's kind of like how I look at it.
Yes. What a beautiful bow to wrap up this Globinar, Gloria. I couldn't have said it any better. Very well, and succinct and inspiring. So as we're tying up and getting ready to close out this Globinar, what I'd like for you all to do on the engaging part, each of you, is write 1 or 2 words of your takeaway. So for me, I'm going to put risk taker. And I don't know if that's 1 word or 2, but I'm going to use it as 1, so I could do more than 1. And then hybrid. Or actually, it was something else that Terri said, foreign rights. I want to put that in there. All right, so put something in there. We want to just be sure that you're getting what you were seeking and then some. so foreign rights. And then Doug or Cesar, any closing remarks? But as I remind you all that we do this once a month. So next month, we're going to have a workshop, and it's going to be on, I'll share the slide with you while you are putting in the chat. And I want to extend a huge thank you, Terri Morrison, for joining us, leading out, contributing, inspiring, and sharing your stories so that we can move forward with greater knowledge. And for Gloria, for showing up with class, sharing your translation experience and what inspired you, the risk that you took, and the lessons learned, and how you want to apply what from the experiences that Terri has had going with the traditional publishing, but just the process for translation. So we learn from one another. Iron sharpens iron. So next month is, can you believe it's going to be June? And so on June 18th, third Wednesday, 11 a.m., we will meet right here again. If you have an interest of being a part of the authors panel, being a guest, let us know. Shoot me an email. You can even shoot Gloria an email. She'll get it to me. So or Doug or Cesar, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to bring you on board as well. This was incredible. I've been looking forward to this time since last month when you all made that agreement. So thank you to each of you. And any last comments, Cesar or Doug? I know we're right at the top of the hour.
Yeah, no,
Yes, sir.
very quick. Dana, thank you very much. And thanks, Terri and Gloria, for sharing your experiences. I just put there, as we were speaking in Spanish, I just put there our meetup in Spanish next week. And you're more than happy to join us, even though if you're just a beginner level. So thanks again, everyone. Doug, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but there's been a great conversation today.
Really great. Thank you. Thank you, Terri. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Dana. You are amazing too.
Thank you, guys. Go forward. And my slogan as a writer's coach is right on. Have a great day. Make it a great day.
Thank you.